Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So here we are, day 2 of our outdoor bench big beech project. Kind of occurred to me as I was editing last night. When I was younger, I probably would have been able to do all this in one day. I probably wouldn't make a very interesting video, but you know, as I get older and lose some energy, turns into a multi-day project. That's probably better for YouTube. I don't know, we'll see. But today what I want to do is get this log bucked up. I got a really rotten section up here at the top I need to cut off until I get down to really good live wood, and then I'm going to just sort of get a feel for how much of this log is viable, what I can salvage out of it, and decide what lengths to cut into, and then from there we'll come back with the tractor and skid this guy out. So stick around, we'll get started. All right, so this guy is definitely the rot stopped, but it's spalted right here at the top. This is not really going to be good for anything, but it's not totally gone like I was worried about. So just did a rough estimate based on this size and how far down it probably goes, and maybe cut about 8 foot from the butt end, and that leaves me 12 to 13 foot section here that hopefully will be enough to work with. But at this point, I'm gonna go grab the tractor and see if I can get these guys up out of here so we can take a better look at these logs. Alright, so I got both logs out. I got a 8-footer and a 12-footer, and this is roughly 30 inches diameter on this end of the 12-footer. I don't know if it was obvious in the video, but these were really pushing the limit of my tractor. They were barely, I barely had enough links on my choker chain to get around these, barely enough height in the 3-point hitch and the skidding plate to lift them off the ground. So these really push the limits of the tractor and my whole setup. And typically the logs I'm working with are maximum 24 inches diameter, and more often I'm in the 16-inch diameter range. So this is a big upsize for me in terms of working with the tractor, working with my rigging equipment. I brought over some blocks. I usually put the logs on blocks. Well, I couldn't lift it high enough off the ground to even get the blocks under there. Everything was a challenge with these guys. Now, ideally, I'd like to get these over to my sawmill and start cutting away at them. And I'll show some other footage in a second of what it looks like on each end of these logs. But this is really the good end of the 12-foot log. And I've got really sound wood in the outside, and then this wood in here is actually very hard, but it's got some stain in it. And this is either a heartwood stain or some spalting happening, and it's wet and it's hard, so I don't think it's spalted. It's definitely spalted right down here in the middle around this rot, which only goes in another foot or so. But I think there's a lot of really good wood. I think this is going to be pretty wood once I get into it. I don't want to cut off any more cookies with a chainsaw. I'd rather just get this to the mill and slice into it and see what it looks like on the inside. That way I'll know how much good wood I have to work with, what wood is stained or spalted, and make some good decisions on how I want to use this to build our outdoor bench. But after struggling to get these logs over here, and by the way, I'm still across the street from my sawmill, there's no way my front loader is going to be able to lift these guys as is. I can tell right now they're heavier than about 2,400 pounds I can lift with that loader. So it's likely I'm going to have to get out my Alaskan sawmill with a chainsaw and at least do some preliminary cuts over here, which is not what I was planning to do. And that's how you know these videos are real. Even I don't know what the hell's going on sometimes. So I'm probably going to have to switch gears, and instead of going straight to my sawmill, first start with my Alaskan sawmill on a chainsaw and get some slabs out of these, really just to get the weight down, get the size down, and really see what's inside of these logs before I go to the next step and go all the way to the sawmill. So at this point, what I'd like to do is we'll walk over and take a look at previous outdoor bench I built, and just to give you an idea what I'm trying to do this time, and how we can maybe work with these logs. And they're certainly try and work with their imperfections and their defects. There's still actually a lot of very usable wood, and even in this log over here, to build one of these outdoor benches. So let's go take a look at that bench right now. All right, so this is one of the outdoor benches I've built in the past on a sawmill. This one is actually made out of cypress. It's probably 12 years old at this point. I have never done a single thing to it. I could use a power wash, but because it's cypress, it just doesn't rot. It's been outdoors all its life and done well. And so this one was actually constructed of cutoffs from the sawmill. I don't know if you can see right here this curved shape. This is a cutoff of a fairly large cypress log. Same for the legs on both sides. And I've built a bunch of these benches over the years. People really love the style, and it's funny, you're using basically scraps from the sawmill to do this, but it ends up making a really cool little bench. There's some tricks. You need to chisel out a flat spot here to attach the legs, but it's very simple. Just uses some timber screws through the top into the legs, and then a couple timber screws from the legs into this cross piece here, which really just braces it. It doesn't really need it for strength. And so I've built a bunch of these from sawmill cutoffs. I've built some with wood that's been cut on purpose for a bench. There's just a lot of variations of this basic style of a rustic sawmill bench that you can build with slabs, with cutoffs, just all sorts of ways to do it. So this is the style that we're going to be going after for the new bench, built out of those beech logs. And this particular bench, by the way, this was built entirely with an Alaskan rig, Alaskan sawmill, and worked out great. Cypress is fairly easy to mill, so you don't need a really huge chainsaw to mill cypress. That beech is going to be a little bit tougher, but it should do okay. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, again, at this point I need to start building a strategy, figure out what do I need to do with those big logs on the Alaskan rig, on the actual sawmill, to get them down into a form that we can build a bench like this. And that'll be part 3 onwards, coming up. I probably won't get to that right away. I want to think about this a couple days and go look at those logs a few times and maybe scratch my head a little bit and see if I can come up with a good strategy to break those guys down into a suitable form to make a bench. So that's going to be it for today. As always, thanks for watching.